It's all made of solid maple. It's you just buy this outside. It's probably $25,000-$30,000. We do it just 10-15% over cost to get it.
It's very nice, but very tight. I watched it.
The meeting is being recorded and broadcast via our local cable access channel, WCAT, Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. If anybody in the audience is recording, please let us know. Okay, well, welcome everybody. So, we've already approved the...
Well, you can't.
Oh.
Yeah, you've got to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the previous minutes. I've read them and reviewed them, and they look good. Want to second that?
Yep, once I write it down.
Okay, I'm sorry. Make a wait, just go ahead and jump. You want to speak for us? No, you don't have to. Well, people might want to see you. I don't know. No, forget it. You can sit down.
Kathy Banner's resident. I'm just having some concerns. I've been up at the cemetery. I'm on Sunset Avenue. A lot of ants, and I dug up a lot of grubs. I'm going to end up looking like St. Paul's unless they have some kind of treatment.
Funny you should ask that.
That's on our agenda.
Well, I have breaking news.
Well,
We treated grubs and fertilized this past Saturday.
oh, because there was no tags up
Well,
there.
I can't speak for, but I was there for the whole thing.
They did it? Okay.
They did
Treated grubs and did what else?
fertilizer.
Okay.
Yep. So
Who
the
did
grub, True Green. And Jeremy, that's in Jeremy's budget. So that was So that is
Because
done.
you don't wanna get that.
Well, go look where my wife is buried, you can see how bad. So we did the grub control 2 years ago, we just thought we would be taken care of, but, they came back and we missed it, so going forward, which I'm gonna propose later, that we set up every year, and we'll talk to Jeremy about that, they have to come in and do those 3 sections. What I'm told is, by True Green that did it, is the fact that where the more sun, the grubs thrive.
Yeah.
More shade, they don't thrive. So that's why there's only 3 main areas where you are and all the way on the new section. So part 1 of the plan is to treat it. So every year he has his budget. So next year, we're gonna treat it in the spring, and then we're also gonna be reseeding the 3 bad areas, slice seed it.
By seeding it?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause
So-
and that must kill the ants too, I would imagine, because ants are terrible too, so I'm assuming.
Now, one of the areas that we're gonna be reseeding is around the flagpole as well.
Right, well, that I didn't get the quote for, but I did get the grub control there, they were wiped out.
Okay, so they did around, so they.
Jim could
so-
just reseed that
okay,
easily, yeah.
So where did we do the grub control?
We did it in
I-
section F, the next one, and the next one where your family's at. So I put,
With sunset.
yeah, we did 3 sections.
And down at flagpole,
Correct.
so 4 sections.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we did 4 sections with grub control,
From sun to
fertilizer, and,
I think that's section E.
yeah, that's what I need, Jim, but yeah, the 3 sections that were,
Yep, that are in the minutes of our meeting that we
Right.
had concerns with. Okay.
so yes, that was, we did that this past, they do my lawn, I actually made a call, and we were able to get it in, and the rain washed it in, which
Oh,
is
good.
phenomenal. That's why I don't think he put the things down, because it was raining heavy when he
Okay,
left.
because usually they have this little. 'cause I
Yes,
have
they
my
do, but he didn't put it
my-
down, I think, I didn't speak to him, but he did those 3 sections and around that. And Jim can just patch those, seed those areas in the fall, just a couple of buckets of loom, because most of it's pretty good, in my opinion.
Can seed it in the fall.
His area, but they don't, True Green doesn't want to be going from here to here to here.
So Jim can reseed
The flagpole
the
only.
flagpole only,
Right, and,
and use a couple of, little bit of room.
yeah, that's it.
Do we have enough room?
Oh, God, we have tons of them, yeah. No, we have it, but the highway has a ton of it. How's that? Right,
That
best-
made my day, because I was up there last night watering flowers, I thought, oh, I gotta go that.
Oh, did
meeting.
you use my hose?
No,
Somebody, I had the, I reseeded it a number of areas, and somebody took the hose that I had, not that I care.
Yeah.
Left it, and they had it all the way up by your section.
By our
Yeah,
section.
not that I care, but it
Is there
doesn't.
any reason why we can't purchase a hose? out of
Yeah,
the
that's,
budget?
it's our hose.
Oh, it's our hose?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's like
no,
when
I
it was
like
our
in my
hose.
water, but now I realize the water's on up there.
The water is
I
on,
didn't
correct.
realize that, because I have to lug it for St. Paul's anyway, so I just fill it,
Yeah, please.
and do it that way, I bring it up there whenever I go up.
So, yes, so,
Oh,
I think,
good.
so.
Made my day.
Yeah, that's all you came for?
No.
Well, no, that was one thing, 'cause I was just.
Oh, please, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was
Well,
my
she's
main
down at the
concern.
bottom,
Oh,
old
okay.
business.
Old business.
She's
Yeah,
on old
I just had a
business.
concern about if I get permission to move my parents, and I can reopen at my site, because I have 2 plots where I am.
Yeah, and you have two,
I have 2
Cremations.
full-size plots, and I have 1 cremation only in those 2 plots.
so, to my understanding, she should be able to put both of those cremations in the plot that already has a cremation in it, if you would like.
Or put it in my empty one, 'cause
Or
my
put it in your
parents-
empty
No,
one.
none of us will object.
Both of them can, both of those can go in one
In 1
plot.
plot,
You can actually put 4 in one plot.
cremations,
Yeah,
okay.
so both of those can go in. You'll have to pay, obviously, for 2 holes,
Right,
but,
and you require a vault, right, up where,
you have, depending on what you have, I think you said you have one that is actually a marble vault.
yes, I'm sure of it. Now, my father's, I'm not sure, because that was so many years ago, I couldn't tell you what his
So
was.
the one that's a marble vault, from what I understand from Jim McKeon, you don't have to do that because he can find it,
Okay,
okay? The reason why we need the vault is so that it can be found when he's poking to try to find where somebody is, if he needs to put, you know.
okay.
So the other one, the one that's marble, does not need an extra vault, right?
No,
No,
Nope.
okay.
So when they dig up the other one, we'll know what it is. 'cause I have
Correct.
no clue what that was.
Right. Have you been able to get anywhere with what you're doing? Have you made any contact?
Well, I called the Worcester Diocese twice, and that wasn't very successful. Needless to say, no one ever gets back to you. So now I'm gonna go via Barnum's, I think, and see if they know how to do it better. You know?
I would think, Jim McKeon suggested that, because they would know everything that needs to be pulled. And I've contacted the diocese up there, and I've done it in the form of a letter,
Yeah.
and I got a letter back. So I would suggest that you send a letter to them, because they need to be involved in this, I
They
think.
need
Yeah, I mean, you can check and see if Barnum's will do that as well, but
Yeah.
you need to make contact with them because it is sacred ground, they have to authorize that it's okay for you to dig it up and move it. That's my understanding, that's where you
Like
need
I
to go.
said, I'm contacting the diocese, so that's.
Yeah, a letter. We got it, remember I had to, what was it we were doing, I forget what we were doing, oh, we were putting the signs down there.
Yeah.
So I sent a letter out to them, and in a week, we got
So
something
using
back.
letters better than using the email or trying to do phone calls, obviously.
Well,
I'll try that then.
I
but
did it in the letter because it was official, and I wanted to have a
Right.
copy of it, and so,
Yeah.
whatever, however you, maybe do all of them.
Yeah, and like I say, I called over to get an appointment with Varner to see what Peter could tell me. Maybe
Yeah.
he had some idea how to do this or not do this, you know?
Yeah, because it would be good to have them supervise the whole thing to get it done right. I don't know if you wanna do a re-internment because you moved them over there, I mean, another little service
Yeah.
because they're over there.
No, I don't think I do that, but I do have to have the two stones. I have a military stone and then a regular, they're both flat stones, so.
Yeah, so my suggestion, like,
Make you
I
sign,
gotta
so
agree with,
your name?
I
No,
gotta
you don't have to
agree,
sign it, though.
I gotta agree with Jim McKeon. I think it would be, if it were I would be going to a funeral home, and I know it may cost, I don't know what it costs, but.
Well, it's gonna cost no matter what, but at least it'll be all done in one place, that's all I have to
Right,
deal with.
and then you can just not have to worry about, they'll be getting the check from you to give to the cemetery, so they'll just handle it all like it's a regular,
Like it's a regular term.
exact.
Okay.
So I think that would just take a load off your mind, and they'd have it
Mm-hmm.
all scheduled and all that, and you wouldn't have to, they know some permits gotta be pulled from the Board of Health, they know how to do all that, so. So I think that's a good idea going through that.
Okay, excellent.
Anything else?
That's it.
Perfect.
Took care of the grub issue, that was my biggest
Okay.
concern.
All right, no, they're all, Jeremy was
It's gonna
kind
look like
enough on
St.
his
Paul's, I
budget.
thought to myself.
Jeremy is, he's in charge, he took care of it, he said,
Excellent.
whatever it takes to get it done, and we're all set. He's got it.
So I'm assuming that once you get a hold of Barnum's, we won't be hearing from you again until Barnum's calls up and
Yeah.
says, we're ready to make the move, and that's,
Unless something's different, yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I still personally, you need to reach out to the diocese.
And I'll have to do like
Ask, yeah.
2 burials as well,
Yeah.
one up at your, at
Yeah.
the
I mean,
main cemetery.
if Barnum's will do that for you too, maybe it'll happen faster for you,
Mhm.
rather than just, because they're a funeral home, maybe they'll pay more attention to your letter, so.
Maybe.
The,
Well, let us know, we are here.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
we wanna make you happy.
Upcoming,
Okay.
and I'll try to get you next, Jeremy, so you can go home.
Yeah.
No worries, whatever.
I know you like hanging out with me.
I'm sure you guys don't have a ton of things to discuss.
We actually, most of our stuff is yours, so I have
See, look at that.
if you don't mind,
I'm lucky.
I can't get out from behind this barrier, so if you.
You guys are trapped behind
We
this
are,
wonderful
we
desk.
are.
All right, so upcoming, you wanna
That's
skip
bigger
one of
than-
the
Let
Jeremy?
me make sure that I've got everything I need.
And we can come back, circle back to upcoming invoices, purchases, projects, or do you wanna just?
Why don't we just take care of that while
Just take
Jeremy's
care
here,
of it.
being that he's,
Okay.
he's our maintenance guy, so
You're good.
he's
Okay.
in charge of maintenance.
So, budget review balance.
Okay. We are now at, once we pay for the Mass Core signs, you'll see I broke it down, I
Mhm.
did break it down. Once we pay for the Mass Core signs,
Mm-hmm.
we have 36,995.82. The only things that are left that we need to do is two 2x4x6 posts, which is about $20. And there's also, we had talked about azaleas, rhododendrons over there in front of those barriers, the barrier that we have for that corner.
So.
Well, here's the thing. That's all sunshine there, I think, right?
Yes.
So azaleas and rhododendrons don't do well in the sunshine. So we might be better off to just see what we can find, like a bridal wreath or something in there. I don't think Lowe's has those. So whatever it is, it's gotta be really suitable for the sunshine, and they are a beautiful bush.
Yeah.
So I think,
Beautiful bush, aren't they?
yeah, they are. I have one in my yard. They're gorgeous, gorgeous bush, and it just, so I think maybe we should just not worry about getting that at this budget time, since we have to, because it's gonna be hard to find one. I'm not sure if, How Gardens, I'm not sure if they have one. We have an account with them. I called the number that I found online and it wasn't there. They didn't answer. It said, couldn't connect as dialed. So maybe I'll check with Jim if they have them or they can get them. I know Bemis can probably get them.
Brad Bemis could probably
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, and,
Most places might have to order that.
Right.
It's not something they keep normally, so.
what would be the best time to plant that now that we're heading into
Fall.
summer?
Fall.
Fall?
September.
Okay, so I will call Bemis for a bridal wreath.
So it appears that after everything, we're going to have $3,600. I took $200 off for it. I spitballed it.
Well, that's if nothing happens
Right.
in between now and then.
So I'm gonna, that's for
And
the,
I never like to take it down to zero. I know Jeremy might think
well,
I'm
worst
crazy,
case
but you
scenario
never
is
know
we
what's
can
gonna
use it in the
happen.
next year's,
You got 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. So,
So
so
2 weeks from
$3,600. So that's, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yep,
So projects for encumbrance.
that's
Yeah.
what,
That's where your 3,600.
that's right, yep. Right.
Right, so, I've been working with True Green and, I've got the quote and, for 22, that's for you, for your records, $2,608.00 to encumber, and we're going to reseed, refertilize those areas, the three sections. The Summit down, right, Summit down, we're gonna, so those 3 sections.
Well, you know, this money can come out of perpetual care.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, we should use that.
Can seeding work come out of that? Because I had asked Steve about that. What can perpetual care pay for?
Perpetual care takes care of the grounds,
Okay.
the lawnmower, and these things would all fall into the place of the grounds because it's
So
for the.
overseeding could fall under perpetual care?
It should, because it's caring for the grounds that the
Okay.
people are buried
I
in.
was told no by, the town accountant, that's,
You asked her about
I did.
the grounds, about the
Yeah.
reseeding?
About seeding the ground?
Yes,
And
and
she said no.
she did say
Because
no.
that's what you had said to me,
Yeah.
and I was confused by
I-
that. Because I was like,
yeah.
well, what is perpetual
Right.
care good for? If you can't use
No.
it to repair the ground.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Well,
Yeah.
What is it?
Munson uses it for paving. So I
Well-
talked to MAP, so they use their perpetual to fix bad areas in paving. So-
Well, I know I have a copy of the law, and it says the grounds.
The ground.
Yes,
Well, I
so,
think I could stand up in a court of law and assure that if reseeding, overseeding, the cemetery is definitely part of cleaning up and taking care of the grounds.
I,
Because there's nothing
I-
else you could say, literally, that is the ground around all the
I would
stumps
like
and
to-
all the plots.
I would like to talk to her about this myself.
Yeah.
Maybe she misunderstood,
Okay.
because,
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
The-
I mean-
The problem is, as somebody would say, the problem is, we're not gonna meet now till next month. And I don't wanna, what do we do with this money that,
Well, there's a lot of things you could do.
Well, we haven't
You
even-
can
no,
do
no, my
tree
point is
work,
if she,
you can do-
oh, I would love the tree, that's my, or what, the point I'm trying to make is, I would love to put that towards a tree, as long as I know we can get,
As long as you know perpetual care can pay for the overseeding.
right,
Okay.
overseeding, right.
Which I agree, as
I
far
agree
as
1,000,000%.
priority. Overseeding is, I've actually spoke to a couple other people today, just asking, we're talking about, whether we could spend money on overseeding, spend money on more tree work. Obviously, road surfaces, any one of those things is a good investment. Seeding is probably top of the list. as
Right,
far
and we
as-
wanna do your area.
to reestablish good grass, get the soil a little healthier in there so we can
Right.
maintain a better lawn.
I would love to use perpetual care for
So
that.
if that, and again, if perpetual care can pay, that's what I thought it would be good
Me
for,
too.
perpetual
yeah,
care.
I'd like to talk to her
So-
about that myself.
In
Yeah.
the meantime, I don't know if it's up to you guys, obviously this is your money. I did just speak with Rusty's Tree Service, he paid, I have the last invoice
Oh, good.
to finish up the encumbered funds from last year for the
Okay.
tree work that was set aside. He finally dropped off the last invoice for $850 to match, to finalize that. And he said that if you guys needed a quote for any amount of tree work done in there for encumbrance purposes again, no problem, one phone call, I could have it to
Well,
you.
we have the original
Yeah,
that we had, I think there was some wiring, for a big tree there.
But do you have some trees identified?
We had,
Yeah. lots of.
one of the things that was on this was, the original one was remove large sugar maple in heavy decline. Also remove smaller sugar maple with stunted growth. Prune 2 remaining sugar maples to remove large dead wood and install cable to add mechanical support. We didn't do any installation of cables.
That was the invoice for encumbering?
This is,
Because I have the original in my folder as well. If I had gotten it earlier today, I could have already had it all processed, but
well,
I
that's,
didn't get it
yeah,
till 30 minutes ago.
this was for $4,500.
Okay, so that's different. That's a different, so, because the encumbered funds were, I think it was $2,450.
It was, but,
And I have a
Sure.
specific
right,
invoice that was used to encumber those funds.
okay, because I know this is what we originally
So-
talked, this, remember?
Yep.
Bill
I want to do the tree
Brunk,
work. I'd let you,
Bill
really.
Brunk went to him with, these are the things that we wanted
Yes.
done, so,
And a certain amount of that was to be encumbered, and I
Right.
remember specifically telling
right, and that's all we had money for.
Bill
Right.
that, I remember specifically talking to Jimmy Rust as well, that you needed an exact amount for what you were gonna encumber, so which is why that invoice had to be specific to a
So-
certain amount.
So let me ask you this, I'm gonna say. Let me ask you this. So if we have 3,600, can we propose that the $3,600 be put towards, the tree work, unless we turn down for perpetual care?
If I might say.
You might,
something
please,
here,
please,
okay?
I just wanna make sure if we get no, then we don't have a meeting now.
Well, that's where I'm going. There's no law that says we can't have another meeting in order to see if Bill Brunk can be here and have some voice in this, and we can find out that answer to that question.
Absolutely.
So I think that probably would not be a bad idea.
You
To-
can have a meeting right up to the third, Monday the 30th.
Well,
Which
can't
is
we
the
put
last day
it,
of
can't we put this in for perpetual care and then, and if,
We can
Uh,
absolutely ask
right, we got,
and get permission to use perpetual care to do the overseeing. As long as we get the approval of that, we can go forward with if it's $3,600, I can have Rusty's Tree Service prepare an invoice for us for services to up to $3,600. You can identify his services will, obviously it's a certain number of hours, multiple equipment. Hopefully we can get 4 or 5 trees out of that, but I know I'm hopeful, but if we pick them right.
but yeah, so, all right.
So I really think.
I don't wanna rely on Bill, I was just trying to say, I thought we could try to.
Yeah, but I don't think, you don't need Bill, because you have a
Right.
forum.
Right.
Exactly,
My point-
but I
you
think.
could have another meeting scheduled.
Or what happens if we said, I wanna propose that we have 20, I'd like to encumber 26,008, unless the perpetual care will pay for it, and that amount will go towards the tree. This way, we're all covered, we can stop the perpetual care.
I'm
You're-
not gonna
Awesome.
vote, I'm not gonna vote for that.
No,
Okay, all right, that's fine, all right, no, I'm just throwing some,
That's why you want that's why you want Bill here, because if we don't agree,
no, we don't,
You know,
I agree, no,
yeah.
I just wanna make sure we don't lose and we get that
You-
area.
you won't
I have to
if we-
take care of Mrs. Bennett's here, that's what I'm worried about.
if we have another
So-
meeting, we can schedule another meeting for the 24th. I mean, it's only.
Okay, I'm
it's only,
cool with that,
you know,
okay,
it's-
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, you have a couple of weeks still.
All right, so you're gonna.
So you're not up against it. Here's the thing is we could get the wheels turning. We could get Jimmy Russ to give us a prepared quote for doing $3,600 worth of tree work and have that set aside So if for some reason you can't use the perpetual care, then you need a third person involved to break your deadlock on what you wanna do with the money.
Oh, no, we're in agreement. Oh,
Well, you are as long as perpetual care can pay for the overseeing.
right.
Then you're in agreement. But
No.
if, where you're saying is if perpetual care can't cover that, then you would want the $2,600 to come out of the same $3,600.
Right,
That we're
that's correct.
suggesting go towards tree work. And I just wanna let's clarify, we'll get the wheels in motion for the $3,600 tree quote, but we won't fill out you don't have to fill out the paperwork to encumber the funds for 2 weeks. So we can get all the paperwork prepped and not turn it in if for some reason you guys needed to have another meeting and then change what to do with that money.
Yeah, no, I think
You
we all.
don't have to put anything in stone until the end of the month.
Okay, all I know is that as long as we get this, we're ready to go with this.
Okay, you just don't wanna lose those funds.
Right,
To
I
see
want-
See that money go towards tree work is an excellent investment.
I agree. So if we don't, so the key is this week we meet with Dawn and stuff like that.
I'll stop
Yeah.
by and, I'll
I-
stop by and
I
check
don't
with Dawn
understand-
and find, well, just,
In my opinion, I think the three of us' opinion is, I think it can be used for.
Well,
I
ma-
haven't
I-
read the law, so
I-
I can't say that my opinion means anything.
I just wanna ask her,
I know.
in the kindest ways, because she's a wonderful woman.
Yeah, no.
And if she says it doesn't, I'm sure she will take the time to explain to me why it doesn't.
Why it doesn't.
Okay, and that's it. I've found that you have to give people an opportunity to explain to you why. And I know she's gonna say, I've given you the language. So I'm gonna go over the language again, but it says that it is for, care for the individual graves. That's why we got a lawnmower.
Yeah,
So there are individual graves there.
well, that paid for that building too, didn't it?
It did. you
Yeah,
are
but it was different. They had to go before the town to be able to use it in a different way.
Oh, so that
Because you-
they asked the town's permission to
Correct.
use perpetual care to build that building.
Right. You don't have to do that if it's based on, in the law.
In the law.
So
correct.
if there are graves there in that area to be
Tons of them.
reseeded, so maybe I'm wrong, maybe she didn't get that part, that there's actually graves there.
Yeah,
But I'll sit down and have a conversation with her, and the least that'll happen is I'll understand exactly why she's
Yeah.
made the decision she made. She's got a lot of responsibility, and
Oh,
she has
yeah.
to safeguard that money. So I think she deserves the respect to actually be able to sit down with somebody and explain as to why, because, and once again, she'll hand me the law.
Yeah.
And she does have people that, she can go to if she thinks she needs to ask someone else.
Right, because
There's-
it's a
There's
very-
a lot of contacts in the
Yeah,
state that'll
Yeah,
give
yeah.
us guidance.
So I just
All right,
assume.
so as long as, yes.
As we're taking down trees, are we having a tree replacement program, or are we gonna be like a?
You know I love trees. I know Jim
you
McKeon loves
do, but I
trees,
wanna
very
know
much
the
so.
whole plan. Is
He's
there
a big tree
plan?
fan.
Well, I am not opposed to planting some new trees if we're utilizing similar locations, as long as it's not invading upon any people's purchase space.
Right, it has to be in a tree
In
line,
a tree belt,
tree belt, that's what we've been putting.
or in an existing location where there was a tree, even though that's pretty difficult, because we'd have to grind this.
I just wanna make sure,
everything out.
I don't care how we get it, I just wanna make sure that in the fall,
I certainly have no issues planting more trees.
Yeah,
in
you
that
just
center.
And I like to take it a
That's what I worry about.
I would like,
And some of the shaded areas are so nice.
Smaller oriental.
Well, we've been using a
ornamental.
lot of ornamental trees, which
I
only
showed
grow
you.
to 15, 20 feet. They're
Right.
a lot easier to maintain.
correct,
They're not, they don't encroach on everything, they don't turn into.
that's a small one,
trunks as
yeah,
big.
that's why we picked up Jeremy to consult.
Rip up and lift
All I
everybody's
care about is
stones.
that-
No, none of that, which
Yeah.
is why I recommend them to go in that direction.
Because I just didn't wanna see everything cut down and then have nothing.
Yeah.
No.
I don't like that.
And down the road, and again, that hill, I don't think anybody is going to ever, I'm not sure we can ever put people on that hill.
Yeah, you
Well, that's
mean,
what we're
again,
gonna,
you'll-
yeah.
We could
that's
potentially
all.
put a tree line down there.
Down the road.
Right, but,
you
all right, so,
Look at other options.
all right, so that's what we're gonna do. If we'll use it, this $3,600, 2608 for,
We're gonna talk about that,
Yeah.
Steve. That's what you need to remember. We're gonna talk about that. Because we're not gonna do anything just because you wanna do it. We're not gonna do anything just because I wanna do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this, we're gonna come back together, and we're
Yeah.
gonna say, yes, we can use perpetual care. No, we can't use perpetual care. We have $3,600. 26 may go to this, and
Yeah.
1,000 will go to trees. So
That's-
we're-
that's fine, and
so
that's-
we're-
exactly.
yeah,
That's-
so we'll
we're on the
just-
same page,
yeah,
fine.
Yeah, we'll just,
gonna take care of your area very badly.
you know, we have to take care of the cemetery.
No, but
We
it's.
need to take care of the cemetery. Let's not make it personal, okay? It's not your wife's spot, it's not Mrs. Bennis's
That's what I
spot.
remind,
Right,
our
what you
chairman
said.
here about all the time.
Vice.
I go, the cemetery is a big place.
Right.
And we take care of a lot of people, a lot of families.
Because I just, things I noticed that section's really.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
bad,
it's
very
because of
bad,
grubs
I know,
and
but
things.
again, we're gonna have grub control now going forward.
That's great.
and that's not gonna happen again.
Yeah,
So
we're
let's-
Getting on a yearly.
Yeah, we're
Let's,
gonna-
let's plan on getting together, I know we're jumping ahead on the agenda, but let's plan on getting together again
Yeah.
on the 24th of June, which is Tuesday.
I just gotta see what my calendar looks like. Well, why don't we talk to Dawn first? We got.
Well, I
yeah,
can't tell you what she
Oh,
has
yeah,
to say,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
violation of the open
Oh, that's
meeting
right.
law.
No,
We
okay.
still have to decide what we're gonna
Yeah,
do with the
okay,
money.
Let me just look at my.
I mean, I'd like to, but got these little stack of rules, you know,
No, I know.
make it difficult, don't they?
No, I know, I get it. So what day are we looking at here?
Tuesday, 24th, maybe, that'll work out for everyone.
It works out for me.
Okay,
I don't think we need Jeremy, do we?
I don't think so.
As long as you guys know what you want.
Right, we got Plan A and Plan B.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd love to do the tree, but that would be great, because in my, so, that's the plan.
Okay, so that's Tuesday. Okay, so we'll come back to encumbered projects on Tuesday.
And with that being said, now, we talked about coming, the town meeting in October for the paving project. We talked to, not Don, who's the accountant, and we can use the grave money for the paving project. I have that for her.
We can, but that has to go before the town. So if we're gonna
Correct.
go before the town, maybe a good option would be to go before the town and find out if they would pay for that project. Because if we have other things that need to be taken care of within the cemetery, we're using that money that we have.
But there's almost 25,000, and this is only 6,000 to pave. It's not that much, that's what I'm saying. And it's money that hasn't been spent in years, so, I mean, that's what it's for, to keep this.
Actually, we spent 1,500, well, not quite 1,500 on those lines. We wanna run some more, lines eventually in the
Yeah.
future. So I think we've got time between now and then to, decide what the best way to go. I know the paving needs to be done.
Yeah, and that just.
It would be,
yeah.
it would be really nice if we, since we don't ever go to the town for anything other than what our budget is, it would be nice to be able to go to them and say, hey, we'd like to know if you'd be willing to pay to repair that section of the road.
I don't think they'll do that, but that's just my opinion. We have money sitting there, we should be using it for the cemetery. It's just sitting there for $2,500 and $25,000, and I don't think 6,000 is a lot. The town has enough expenses, and I just think we can be doing it with that money.
Well, we have to have the town approve that plot
Right,
fund
exactly.
as well.
Absolutely, and that, you brought that idea up. That's fine. You were the one who,
Well, yes, I did.
you
but
did, I'm
I
giving you the
said-
credit.
Right, but that was my second alternative, so.
Yeah, I mean,
As our superintendent, our highway
Rooker?
surveyor,
No, he's the surveyor.
Surveyor.
Yeah.
what do you think, do you have any advice on that?
I wouldn't wanna ask the town, I wouldn't wanna stand on the town
No.
floor and ask for that money for
No.
paving.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
I've listened to our debates over spending and it really, I guess to be honest with you, it's a roll of the dice. It's who shows up and how much into a fight does anybody wanna argue over who's spending, you know, we just had a $6,000 invoice from last year not get paid
Yeah,
at the town meeting because 30-something people decided that it's fun to not pay your bills. So now we have a $6,000 invoice sitting on our shoulders till November or October, when that'll have to be brought up again. So you talk about $6,000, it's like, well, they wouldn't spend $6,000 on a service that we already used,
Exactly.
have a bill that we haven't paid, and now we have debt against us as a
Right.
town, and refuse to pay the bill at the town meeting.
So-
So, again, that, for that purpose, it's tough to ask even for $6,000, because it depends on what mood everybody's in.
Right,
So when we get closer to
town meeting.
the town meeting time, we should get a new estimate.
Yes, you're gonna want a new estimate
Yeah.
for the fall.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then
And-
they can do it in spring before Memorial Day.
Also, the articles should be written by the town clerk, the town accountant, because the issue that we ran into with the last one that we used from the plot fund, my misunderstanding, I'm gonna say, because the town awarded us that money, I thought that money was gonna stay in that fund, and then we would draw on that fund to pay for it. So when I turned in the invoices for the water line, I had the money coming out of that account. And what ended up happening was, because I didn't realize that that $1,500 was sitting over here in
Yeah,
our
they
budget,
They put it in
they put it in
another-
free cash. So
Yeah.
we had to get that back from free cash. So going forward, I told the town accountant that I'd go to her for those, so that it's worded in the right way, that just says the town authorizes us to use X amount of dollars from the plot fund for
Right.
this purpose, instead of moving it.
Instead of taking the money out of the platform, putting it in another account that you
Yeah.
can then spend.
Yeah, just,
But then you're watching that, making sure it gets spent, and then if you don't spend it, you need to encumber that.
right. So we're gonna make sure that it goes that way.
'Cause
Okay,
if you
so,
don't-
yeah.
You don't designate where that money's going or use it, you lose it.
So come the fall, just get us another, and you're gonna be able to prepare the ground for us? Okay.
And he might do everything himself for that price too. I gotta read.
Yeah, that, the gentleman that you got a quote from.
Bill
there.
Keys, yeah.
Yeah, they're really, really good.
Very, very good.
Who is it?
Bill Keys.
Bill Keys.
Okay.
Right.
He does a lot of paving in
Right.
town for
And
different houses.
He said he would honor the price for the
Yeah.
fall, so.
And that
Well,
price was
that's good.
6,000?
You can go
Yes.
back to him and.
We'll just
in
double check it,
September
yeah.
and double check it.
Yeah, and he said he'll just, my machine's gonna be, I just
Yeah.
do it, that. and-
Yeah.
Make sure you get me a receipt or a
Yeah.
quote, because I don't have a hard copy of the quote. It should be in the
Yeah,
minutes
so
of the
we'll
meeting
do
that we
that
had.
for the fall,
Okay.
'cause then,
All right, so then I make a motion that we request to use plot fund money for the paving for the special town meeting in November?
Right,
November.
Okay,
for the flagpole area for
for the flagpole area.
right. Yeah, I second that motion.
All in favor?
Steve Crystal, aye.
Cindy Baxter, aye.
Okay, great.
Now I've got to write this motion down, so give me a second.
So the flagpole is all buckling up and we're gonna fix it and,
Yeah, around that area.
yeah. So we got the thing, we talked about the upcoming invoices and purchases.
Wait a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My bad.
I would record it, but I don't want to sit through the meeting all over again. Nothing personal. I hate the sound of my own voice, so I don't want to.
Okay.
Almost done.
Take your time.
So I will go and see her and let her know what our plans are.
And we should have an answer for you in a couple of weeks. I'll make sure we inform you what the plan is, okay?
Yeah.
You wanna go right to the superintendent's report, or just wanna skip over that, or it's real quick?
Yeah, he gave us a copy of it.
I got it right here. I can read it.
Yeah.
Jim unfortunately is under the weather, so he's
Yeah, you had to leave today.
yeah.
You know, I had a pair of glasses when I came in.
I can
here,
read it, no problem.
And I keep looking around for them. It's like I had them on my body at one particular time, and it's like they disappeared. Did you steal my glasses?
These are my glasses.
I know, those aren't mine.
Okay, so basically, Jim's report is the oldest section off by the tomb area due to repairs needs a drain valve.
Yes.
Value.
Yes. There's a drain that's part of one of the hydrants that needs to be fixed.
Okay.
Do we need to?
I asked them to bring me the broken pieces so we could find new ones.
Oh.
I haven't. We
Okay.
haven't gotten together on that yet.
Okay.
So he needs to give you the broken pieces.
Yep, so
Yeah.
we know what to buy.
Excellent.
Do you need to invoice us for that?
No, I think I can, well, actually, let me think about that, because will that get covered under my account? No, you guys would have to pay for it.
Okay.
Either that or it has to come out of my budget,
No, just,
because the line item I have to pay for stuff in the cemetery would not cover that.
so it may come out of next year's
Yeah,
budget?
it doesn't have to be bought till the 1st of July.
Yeah.
so we-
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Not a rush.
You
Okay.
just
That
gotta remember to
section
do
is
it.
The water's shut off in that section right now anyway.
Okay, so we'll pay for that. Okay, very good, thank you.
The flowers are growing well. Larger tree cleanups needed in section N. You know about that, right?
Yeah.
Also a dead tree in section K. Lots of older stones leaning need to come up with a plan for repairs in coming time.
That comes out of perpetual care. So, and I don't know if Atlas sells all sorts of things to preserve, repair the stones. I don't know if that's something that you'd be interested in doing, if you'd be interested in looking at that.
I wouldn't have a problem looking at it for sure.
Yeah, because and we do have an account with them
Okay,
that comes out of perpetual care.
okay.
I mean, they sell you the mortar, they sell
Yeah,
you the
they do.
braces and everything.
Oh, there's a company that
So-
does that?
They
Atlas.
sell they have all
Atlas,
the
yeah.
stuff you need in order to fix it, to repair all this stuff.
So if you have some time and you'd like to take a look at that, because we
Yeah.
do have an account, just let me know, because I have to call it in.
Okay,
But I think it would be a really good project, and people could watch how you do it, and,
If you
be
have the
gophers.
time, though.
Be
That's the
gophers for
problem.
you if you need something running. Well, the thing is, in the process of this, if you train a couple of the guys on the highway, they can be the guys that'll go and manage that, So please take a
I
look
know.
at that if you
My
if you
concern
wanna-
is that you have the time. You're pulled in a million different ways. What would be Plan B? Who else could do it if he can't do
well,
it?
if that's, you have to find companies that.
They're quite
specialize.
expensive.
They're
I mean,
very
yeah.
expensive.
Well,
Very expensive.
we had 39 stones straightened and/or lifted,
Yeah.
and it cost us $9,750.
Yeah.
And he's not even doing that price anymore, so. And most of them are more expensive than that. He worked on his own, so so it's expensive. I mean, even if we have to hire somebody to just do a couple a year, but it would be nice if we could.
Maybe in the fall, you don't really.
Yeah, well, let's pick out a few and something we can work
Right.
with and try and see what happens,
Yeah.
see how we can go.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last thing from Mr. McKeon is continue to spray D2 stones when weather conditions are right. And that's it. Oh, projects in projects in the South Warren Cemetery, ongoing mowing every 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, let's move on to this. We got that, and now let's go to our guest, Mr. Olson.
Let me finish
Okay.
writing this down, okay? Give me a minute.
Okay.
And we're going to continue with the D2. Jim is gonna let me know when he needs more, because I only got 2 gallons. So when he's ready, we'll get more, and he can do that all the way up until it's about 30 degrees out.
Yeah.
And it'll
go for
continue
pretty cold.
cleaning, and there's a lot of stones that need that attention, so.
Gotcha. It's
Thank
very
you.
important.
Yep.
I agree with that. Okay,
Looking very
so.
nice.
there's
They
been a-
do look
They
nice.
look very nice
Yeah,
and
they're
they-
really popping, yep. And they're gonna,
Scrub 'em or just spray 'em?
spray them and walk away. We don't scrub them because we worry about, oh, which also brings me to something else that's in here before we leave this. Jim asked me if I would come up with some guidelines, so you've got one in your packet. So if you want to look over these guidelines, it says, if you wish to clean stones at the Pine Grove Cemetery, you must first do the following. 1, contact the cemetery commissioner, the email is there, with a request to volunteer to clean stones. The commission will review your request and contact you. If you wish to clean your family stone, please contact the cemetery commissioner so we will be informed of the work to be done. 3rd, the only authorized cleaner to be used is D2 Biological Solution. No other cleaners are allowed. D2 can be purchased online and must not be exchanged with any other cleaner. This cleaner does not damage the stone and will continue to clean from the inside out. No stone scrubbing is allowed. These stones are old and can be broken, and the repair is very costly. It leaves the stone less than how it was found. Scrubbing also removes some stone material and can do long-term damage. 5, wet any plants or foliage at the stone before the solution is sprayed onto the stone. Use no scrub, no rinse method. 1, apply D2 Biological Solution with a brush or a pump sprayer to a dry surface. Do not pre-wet the surface. 2, allow to dry. Repeat if there are heavy biological stains. 3, walk away and let the solution do its work. D2 works with the elements and results occur within a week to 1 month. Depending on the severity of the growth and the weather conditions, the surface will become cleaner over time as the subsurface biological stain release. The stone will look much worse right after spraying. The Warren Cemetery Commission restricts the use of any other cleaner. These stones are a heritage and must be protected. So, I'd
think
like
it's-
to know if you want to make a motion to accept these guidelines, and I
But
can give them to
I'd like to add
Jim.
one thing. I think when people want to do it, don't you think we should have a sign and dating that they agree to these conditions?
Oh, they do. When they volunteer, when they contact us, that's what they're gonna have to do. They
Yes.
have to come before us and talk to us
Okay.
about it. Remember Ryan came?
Yep,
Yeah,
okay, I'm
so
just making sure that
they'll have to come before
okay,
us.
So,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the stone cleaning guideline rules.
I second the motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Steve Crystal, aye.
Cindy Baxter, aye.
Excellent. All right.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
All right. Drainage issues on Beaudry Ave, section F. F.
What is?
That's where my wife's buried.
Yeah,
It's all the water's coming down the hill.
yeah, it's coming down that right side. and
Is there
washing.
anything we can do to fix that? Shh. I know, I understand, I know.
There's kind of a somewhat fix. They use the old guardrail posts as curbstones to try and push the water away, but it just moves it down a little further and then comes back and washes it out. I mean,
I know.
we could fill it in, we could put some trap rock on that edge, something heavier that won't wash out. Again,
Riffraff?
well, that's a little too, I
Okay.
don't wanna go that extreme.
Is it, I don't wanna go
Riprap
crazy.
is 5 to 7 inch stone, which is pretty big. I mean, we could use that if it came down to it, to lock that in better.
I don't wanna make it a big crazy thing about
Well, you want something that's gonna look nice.
it. Right.
At the end of the day, you want it functional, but you also want it to look nice.
So you're proposing that you'll fix the corner?
Yeah, we'll do some work with the corner, but then we'll also repair the washouts going down the hill, and we'll do some work to try to slow that down. And of course, once in the fall, if we end up doing some overseeding, that'll certainly help a lot.
Right,
You know,
right.
So that's
having
even,
the poor
that's,
grass conditions does not help.
No, and that's why the fertilizer is, hopefully, it's gonna take some time to kick in, and we'll have to do it again in the fall,
Yeah, once we seed it in the fall, that'll go a long way
Right.
to stopping a lot of problems.
and then
is,
we'll.
is this damaging anyone's graves?
Currently, I'm not sure if it's
Well,
actually
it rolls
eroding
over
it.
my wife's grave, to be quite frank with you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
if it's washing
And-
out right there.
Right there, it's coming in, and then,
So this,
and people, yeah, it seems to be going right to that area.
The one right next to you,
Yeah.
too.
Was that?
The one right next to you, too.
I'll have to
Yes.
come take a look at it, and see
Yeah.
what it's doing exactly, see if we
So-
can get the water to go in a different.
Yeah, that's
So
all.
reseeding that area would help?
Reseeding it will fix that
That's
problem.
our-
So,
that's
so I'm
another-
I'm gonna make sure that when I talk to Dawn about this,
Yeah.
she understands that that's
Damaging
one of the,
stones.
Yeah.
one of the reasons why we need to reseed, because these areas are getting
Washing out
washed,
stones.
okay,
Correct.
okay.
Grave sites are getting damaged,
Yeah.
for sure. So, and that's, reseeding would fix that 100%.
And that's,
And in
and
the
I,
meantime, trying to figure out a way to spread the water out so it doesn't isolate to that spot is the next step.
well, let me ask you
Maybe
this.
put a little
Let me
straw
ask,
down
let me
there, a
ask you
little
this. If we raised the asphalt, would that help out?
If you raise the
I mean, the asphalt and have it, is it because the asphalt's too low, or
No.
can we angle it going down into the woods? I don't know enough about that subject, that's why.
No, there's puddling causing right there, and then that puddling builds up and that once the water hits a breach point,
Yeah.
which happens to be right where your wife's grave is, that's where it's causing the erosion.
Yeah.
But the key with it is having the ground and the asphalt at the same level, so the water just spreads out.
So putting
Instead
a,
of puddling in one spot.
putting a berm,
That'll trap the water.
that'll trap the water.
Yeah.
That actually makes the problem worse.
It's a good idea, but if we could
You want the
angle it.
water to disperse more, not be isolated to one space.
Okay,
Okay, so that's good that we're gonna do that.
okay.
Cemetery expansion. Terracing and other options for that the areas. And there's not much you can do there, I know.
The hard part is going to be, if you're gonna terrace it, you'd have to dig it out, and you'd have areas that are steeper, and you would have to have a lot of money set up to deal with the erosion factor there, because you gotta control the water, and that's all sand. You dig 6 inches down and everything's just gravelly sand, so it's very difficult to keep erosion from happening.
So that's really not an
So
option
it's-
to
So that
terrace.
basically that half of that section F, you can't ever put any things in there.
It'd be tough.
Yeah,
It'd be tough.
that's why I'm saying down the road, we can plant trees down, I'll even donate
You'd
them.
be better off,
Tree-
you might be better off clearing there's another acre or two.
That's on our
at the
agenda,
bottom
yeah.
of the hill to that one side.
I think when we get everybody together, make an area, just block it off going forward.
So where is that acre?
So if you go to the bottom of the hill that we're discussing.
Yep.
And so you'd be facing the trail for loop towards
Lucy's
Cummings
Stone?
Pond.
Yep.
It'd be to the right. It's actually on the lower side, which backs up the Catholic side. And it's in the direction of like the highway garage, like that.
It's like
way.
I think there's one grave there on the top part, right, but we'd be on the bottom, correct?
Yeah, we'd be underneath all that. We'd be
So,
behind.
so that would probably be pretty costly, huh?
Relative, yeah, you'd have to clear all the trees, remove all the stumps, grade it all out, and then put some decent material down so you get established grass, and divide it up how you see fit.
Yeah, so we have some
You
challenges.
More plots, so
Well-
it is room for expansion in the future. It's not a lot of space, but it does give you some more unit space.
I remember Jim and I saw this, we went to this Zoom seminar on cemeteries, and some places were actually putting up like a concrete wall that you
Yep.
could put urns in.
Yeah.
Do you think that that would be comparable in cost to removing all the trees?
I mean, I'm not sure how large of a wall are we talking? How many spaces are in it? I mean, again, you'd have to do a cost estimate of like, okay, are you creating 50 spaces versus if we're clearing, this land over here, we're providing maybe 150 or 200 plots. So if you have 200 full-size plots versus 50 or 100 small places for urn, then you can kind of break it down cost-wise. Okay, well, if this costs, $20,000 to clear that land and make it capable of breaking up the cell for plots, versus you might spend $50,000 on a wall, and then still only get 50 or 100 plots for urns. So again, it really comes down to how much money do you have, where do you want to invest it? Do you want to try and clear more ground to create more space for the ground, or do you want to go to a place? And now, you also have to think, if you were going to do a wall, that would give you an option of more of a terrace situation, where you could utilize the wall in a space to then create a small amount of ground that's not as sloped as much, and you can utilize to grow
And
subgrade.
do you know
plots.
where I can tell you where the money would come from for expansion,
Yeah,
the sale of plots funds. That's the only money we can use to expand from.
okay,
So leaves us knowing of that $25,000 that's just sitting there.
okay.
Whenever we sell a plot, 300 goes to perpetual care, 200 goes to the plot fund. So it grows, the principle of it, or the amount of it grows slowly.
Yes,
We can use it without, the perpetual care, we use the interest.
interest.
But plot fund, we can use the actual
The
source of
actual
the money. But when you're talking about expansion and you're talking about a whole acre, I mean, you may be using $20,000 to clean
Yeah.
that up. So that's, goes back to where's the best use of that,
Yeah.
best use of that money, so.
We could, I mean, I'll say this, for clearing more land. The town does own equipment that can do a lot of the work.
Okay,
I'd still probably have to have a company come in and clear the trees off, but as far as removing the stumps, we can remove and clear and grade the area out internally. And then, obviously there'd be a cost to dispose of all the stumps and all that, but that's part of that, you know. Maybe we save $10,000, but it still costs $5 to get rid of the debris versus costing $25.
right.
So, I mean, we have to look into it. It could be relatively affordable.
Okay. Cemetery expansion, just talked about that.
That's,
It's
yeah.
good.
Give
We
me,
talked
give me,
about,
give me a second to
Oh,
write
I'm so
this down
sorry.
and continue to think about this. Now, yes,
Have anyone put any thought to have just a cremation area? I know Munson has a cemetery, it's only cremations, they can get so many more. Nowadays, so many people are cremated, so like, part of it would be cremation, part of it could be full-size or something, you'd save a lot of space.
Well, that's
that
where,
way.
using the hill, the steep grade, that you could do cremations on.
but you really can't put a stone on there.
You can, you have to be creative
So,
in building the base.
so we could use the place that we were talking about terracing and not using, we could actually use that just for cremations. But then there's the problem of people getting down to those areas.
Yeah, you would have to kind of almost build small little terraces within it. But you could do that if you're only doing it for cremation, so you almost create like a little walkway.
Yep.
And then with a little spot for your stone and then you'd have to skip a chunk of ground and then
Right.
put another walkway in. So you could probably do a half a dozen paths, true walkways across the hillside, and then have burial spots
Would that-
along that path. But you would just have to have a separation between them, because where you would level it out and then it'd kind of go a little
Right.
steep again, and then we'd level it out and see. But if you're only leveling it out for,
Small
you know,
section, yep,
3 feet wide, 4
Right.
feet wide,
right.
that doesn't take nearly as much as if you were trying to widen it 8 or 10 feet.
Yeah, when we were first talking about this, I mentioned that to Jim, that we didn't try to do a full burial, that it would just be cremations.
Yeah,
So the lots would be sold as a cremation lot only for one
yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So, is that something that the town has the equipment to do?
Yeah, we could probably
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
but
Then
the other question I want to bring, do we have an actual number of graves that are still available in other sections before we go into this endeavor of expanding? Do we have an actual number before we start spending all this money, we have an inventory of 40 graves we could sell. I just
I
think,
think you're probably not too far from the mark. I think it
Yeah.
might be 75.
And so
did ask,
even
but I
at that,
did
if you're
ask.
under 100, if your number's under 100, it's not a bad time to start looking.
no,
at
I'm just asking, no, that's fine.
Because you have to prepare ahead. You don't wanna be down there, hey, we've got 15 spots left.
Yep.
And now we gotta think about how do we expand.
So
So,
would you be willing to take the lead on looking into making that an accessible area for us to be
For-
able to
yeah.
cremations, just to
Yeah.
sell
For cremation.
single
yeah.
cremation lots?
Yeah.
And whether that price would still remain $500 or not? If it's just for one, it doesn't have to be very, very
Yeah.
large. So, I
Yeah,
think
we can,
that-
we
yeah.
can figure out exactly where we are gonna stop with full burial sites.
Okay.
At what point on that hill is it too steep? And then identify that space, and then we can kinda figure out how we can divide that up for cremation sites.
well, I would like to, I'll put it in the form of a motion, but I'd like to put that squarely in your hands to work with Jim and determine when it's too steep and what to do going forward, and work with him on that and just let us know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the benefit of us being together, is that you've got what you need, and, you know, it's a learning curve for all of us. So I'm gonna make a motion that we have Jeremy look into all the expansion and terracing in that area for cremations, and, you know, just have him keep us informed. Okay.
I'll second it if that's what Jeremy wants to do. I just know how much work he has.
Yeah, but that's not, we can, the nice thing is that's something we can do in the
Okay.
winter months.
Okay. Okay, so we both agree?
All in favor?
Aye. Steve Frisell,
Aye, Cindy Baxter. Thank you, Kath.
I just
No,
went to
that's
one
good.
of-
It's-
I just went to one of Munson, I was shocked to see how small it was, they said it's
Yeah.
cremations only.
Okay, so we talked about that. That's a paving preparation. Oh, you're still writing, excuse me.
Yeah. And that's section F, right? The bottom of section F?
Correct.
I know this will make Jim very happy because he's aware that we need more, and
No,
we just
that's
didn't know
good.
where to go forward. I mean,
No.
that's what the cemetery does, we make room to bury people. If
Right.
we can keep from spending a ton of money until we can gain more money in our plot fund, then
Yep.
if we have to end up doing that, we'll do that, so,
Okay.
thank you very much.
And then paving preparation, we talked about that around the flagpole. We already have a quote. We're gonna confirm the quote probably in the fall, so we can bring it to the special town meeting in October. Is that when it is, October?
Usually it's November.
November, so,
First or second.
so around the fall, we're gonna get,
Yeah,
but he
yeah,
said he's not.
September, see if you can, yeah.
Yeah.
If he wants to stick with that, I'm fine with it.
I'm
But
pretty
I
sure
wanna
he
make
will.
sure we nail him down to
Yeah,
make
because
sure
I'd
he's
love to
gonna
have
do
it
that.
done before Memorial Day.
Can they pave in the springtime? Can
Yeah,
we do that?
the
as a
plan
Memorial
opens
Day?
when, April 15th?
I was gonna say, usually the second or third week of April, it's usually open.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We discussed the possible articles for next year's town meeting to cover the paper. We just talked, we already have an
Yeah.
agreement. We're gonna get it from the cemetery fund.
The
The ce- no,
sale of plots.
Sale of plots, yeah. Okay, so we got that. We talked about the tree trimming with,
Well, yeah, he's,
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm just,
but we're gonna go forward and
Yep.
find out how much money we have. We'll have a determination on
yeah,
that.
but we
in
all
our
got
next
that
meeting.
planned. We talked about the drain repair that broke when it was turned on, by the tune of water. And the only other thing we talked about, and again, is expanding the water lines into section F.
Down to section F.
F. But I don't know, do you want to, can you do that, or want to sub it out, or? It's,
Again, I know it's something we can do, the issue is finding time for that
Right.
project.
And we really, I mean, where are we with that need? Is that something that we need to do within the next couple of years?
yeah, we have no water for that whole area, so
Okay.
people have to go like 2 sections over to get water.
Yeah, I know there was a hose there for a while, I don't know if it's still there.
That's the hose, that's,
Maybe
you own,
Yeah.
you own that hose.
Yeah,
It's a town hose, but I've been
Yeah.
watering all the people, all the new grass we've planted, we've been
Yeah.
watering.
And once again, that money to do that should come from the sale of plots funds.
Agreed.
But I want to just remind you, because Bill Brunk isn't here to do it, that there's only so much money in that fund. So if we spend 6,000 on the paving, which obviously needs to be done, we have to be mindful of, are we just going to put in one? Or are we going to be able to put in two? Because if something else comes up and we can't go to that fund anymore and grab any more out of it, so we have to be kind of, because that's small.
Yeah.
In today's world, $25,000 is not much
Nothing.
at all.
It's
It
nothing.
really is.
No, but yeah, but like I said,
So, because when it's gone, and then we'll have perpetual care, and we can't, we actually, you would think that you could run water lines for perpetual care, but you can't.
I don't, and again, I just,
I bring my own water when I go to my mom's
but
cemetery.
I'm still, I know other towns do it.
But the thing is, the treasurer is responsible for making those
Yes,
decisions
she is.
on her own.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what anybody else does, she has to go by her own sense of understanding the law. And I give her a lot of credit, she gives
No,
it a lot of thought, I mean.
She does.
I did talk to her about that retaining wall being fixed, and because it is part of the grounds and it's protecting graves, she gave us authorization. We have done nothing with that, because you can't find a mason, can't find anybody to do that. So
And that's why-
so I think having a conversation with her to find out where we are with this, and now that I understand that there are being, graves are being damaged by not being
Water coming down
reseeding.
the hill.
With that being the case, that makes it even a more prudent thing for us to consider. Because it puts everything in a whole different ballgame. It's no longer just, geez, it would look pretty.
Yeah.
Now there's an actual,
There's a function to it.
correct, kind of like the paving.
Yeah,
The paving can't come out of there because it really doesn't need to be done
yeah.
in that perspective for people to be able to get where they want to go. And even if it wasn't there, they'd be walking, I mean, old days, they walked on cart paths, so.
It was all, yeah, it was
yeah.
all gravel paths.
Yeah, so it's not really protecting the people that are there, and that's what the law is for, is to protect the property that the people are buried in. So, we'll see what she has to say, and if,
Yep.
I'll go by whatever she says. I have a lot of respect for her.
We'll make it work.
Yeah, we will, we'll make
I
it
do,
work.
I
Make it
have
work.
one issue with that. Do you know what is going on with that big, huge, unsightly trash bin that's been placed next to the sign at the bottom of the cemetery coming in?
No.
Can we find out? It's very unsightly. It looks terrible. Terrible.
Does it belong to the people that live next door?
No.
No, it's right in the cemetery.
The cemetery put it right there next to,
The cemetery put it?
I mean, the church put it right next to the sign as you come in. Big,
Oh, is it on St. Paul's side or our side?
Well,
St. Paul's.
St. Paul's side. But isn't that town?
So it's a town right away. But essentially it's there for access. So unless it's blocking the ability to get in and out of there, then it's not. Suppose it could, you know, again, you could talk to the church and find out what
Yeah.
their plan is with it before
Right.
we go ahead and get all
Yeah.
excited.
Well, no, but who do we
And
talk
They
to?
might be coming to pick it up in a week or so.
Well, I think that guy Chris, that Jim and I have contact with, he might know something
Yeah,
about the.
could you
the bin.
reach out to him? Like just-
Sure, I just
think-
need to understand where it is. It's up at the top of.
No, so coming off the road, do you ever come in from like where the Catholic Church side is, ever on that road?
Yes,
So as soon as you pull in, there's a sign that says everything, you know, at St. Paul's.
Yep.
To the right, they put this dumpster there, this massive unsightly
so
dumpster.
the dumpster is not in the cemetery.
No,
No,
No.
It's outside the
Yeah,
cemetery.
it's in the right of way going into the cemetery.
right, and it's unsightly. It's
right
unsightly.
next to that antique looking sign.
Just, it's
Yeah.
not, it doesn't belong
Kinda
there.
odd.
It's very unsightly.
So again,
I'll look to you,
if
you
they
agree.
haven't, I can't
Thank you.
imagine it's a
I need you to hear
long-term
more.
thing. So that's the only reason why I say to, just let's ask.
Yeah, absolutely, we can't get.
I don't think it's anything to get too excited
Oh,
about. I don't
no,
think
no,
we
no,
have-
no.
we have
Actually, it's
plans.
taken away more from their cemetery than it is our cemetery.
Correct.
And if
It's
they
up
made that,
completely.
yeah, if they made that choice, then,
So, yeah.
you know, I mean, their
So-
people should be more concerned and upset about it than we are. So, I mean,
Well,
But there's
then
gotta
again-
be a reason for
Then
it,
again,
yeah.
people go to,
Like I said, I'm not gonna assume anything.
Yeah.
let's
I'll-
just
I'll
ask
call-
them.
I'll
Ask
call
them.
Chris.
We'll reach out.
Conversation.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm sure.
conversation.
I mean, you don't hold on to those things for too long.
No,
No,
You just do what you gotta do. and-
Yeah,
and it- and
absolutely.
it
It was
gets taken
temporary.
away.
Correct.
Okay.
but they've got a
But
garage.
I'll have an answer for
Yeah.
you hopefully
Okay,
by the 24th on that dumpster.
yep.
Is it a dumpster?
Yeah,
It's
a
a
dumpster.
math, yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I think we've covered everything. Agenda for ideas for next meeting?
Yes, the
So-
ideas for our next meeting is to talk about our encumbrance.
Encumbrance?
Yeah,
Yeah, we've already agreed with the paving part of it from some, whatever you call it, I'm sorry. That's all set there. But the encumbrance as far as, where it's,
the plant stuff or the
right,
trees.
right.
So we're gonna talk about, I will call Dawn, I will get the information that I can from her. You were gonna get another quote for something down around was it reseeding down by this, or you weren't gonna get a reseeding down at the flagpole?
No, Jim could just, it's not that big an area.
So is the reason why we can't reseed ourselves is just too big an area?
It's way too big.
Way
Way
too-
too
yeah.
big, okay.
Yeah, and it looks unsightly, it's awful.
Yeah, if we were doing, a space the size of this room,
Absolutely.
I'd be like, okay, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
But we're talking about quite a big area,
Right.
acres, a lot to go around, a lot to deal with.
Right.
And-
We gotta do, that yard area too needs to be done.
And there'll be things, like there'll be some fertilizer and stuff that they put to help the seed grow.
Right.
We can't put that down.
Right,
They can, they
Right.
have the license to do it, we can't.
Okay.
So to
and
do
so-
the job complete and to do the job correct,
correct.
they need the licenses to do it.
Right, and it's only,
And it's a nice job for an overseeing, for a company, that's not, that quote, that's not a
No.
ridiculous number
No.
at all.
no, but
That's
it's
very
only one and
reasonable.
done. I mean, we're gonna do it,
Yeah.
one and done, then we're gonna maintain the
But
growth
then we can maintain.
the grub
again, we're-
control every
we're
year,
bringing
we'll-
them in, so
every-
we won't lose that ground again.
ever again, right,
So-
so we're gonna set it up,
So going forward, with the plan that you have to keep after it, does that come from your budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
so we'll do those 3 sections next, so in the fall, they'll come back again in the fall. Fall they're gonna reseed it, and then, and we'll do the same thing in the fall. In the spring,
In the
they'll do grub control
spring,
and the
they
seed.
They have a treatment in the spring to help the seeding, and then in June, there'll be another round of grub control. Because that's when you treat for grubs, when you're trying to prevent them altogether. So,
Right, well, he'll put the fertilizer down and,
he'll do that with the seeding, and then he'll do it again in the spring.
right,
To
with the
help
grub
the
control.
seeding take off. And the
Right.
grub control goes in, usually it's end of May, beginning of June. So,
So we'll do that, and that will be, and then that will stop because everything will take place, and all we'll just be doing is grub control.
yeah, just grub control and the.
After that, a year, but it's gonna be a year.
Yeah, we'll get it. Takes time. Things don't fall apart overnight.
No, and they're not gonna
They're not
happen.
repaired overnight. either.
No, but we have a plan now. We're basically gonna repair in the fall, and fertilize it. Spring, we're gonna, that same area is gonna be refertilized and grub control, and that should be
Yeah,
it.
there
So-
if anything, we might do some lime, but that. we can
Oh,
do
lime
that.
would be
That's
great.
internal.
Lime
We can
anytime?
do that.
So Jeremy, you're gonna get us, as an alternate to, just in case this is covered with perpetual care, you're gonna find out what Rusty can do for
What
us.
tree work can
um,
get done for
for 36.
$3,600.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, then we're only gonna have $1,000.
Okay.
So
I can
maybe
do
you
an
can do
alternative
both
for
of 'em.
1,000.
Yep,
Yeah,
just in case
I'll
and-
have them write one up for 36 and one up for 1,000.
All
That
right.
way we're covered.
Okay,
Now, does perpetual care cover tree work?
I don't think so, cause it's
No.
not the ground.
Oh, I'm
It's
just-
really specific about it
I know.
has to be the grounds of the cemetery, the plots, because that's what it's for. That's why we were able to purchase spray stuff to clean the stones, because the stones belong to the person that's in the ground. So it's a really, and I think it's wise that it be so well taken care of as far as being, I mean, the government's the one that made the specifics of it. But then you have, you have people people have to interpret it in their own way, and you can't fight that, because that's their job. That's part of the treasurer's job, so. Okay,
So we have our next meeting set for
June 24th, the day
Right.
after my birthday.
Happy birthday,
4
by the way.
o'clock,
4
thank you.
o'clock, and then we'll have a definitive plan what we're gonna go with, and we'll,
We should,
Yeah.
we definitely should.
all right,
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to end this meeting.
Oh, and we need to on our agenda, we also need to reorganize the board.
Yes.
This is our third, this will be our third meeting without having done that. We just were hoping to have a full
Well, when
group.
you're missing a member,
Well,
that's
he just got out of the hospital, so,
Oh.
life happens.
Yeah,
And you have to,
absolutely.
and it's not a paid position, so,
No.
you
No.
know.
I
We're
did
doing
it.
just fine, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we agree.
It's not as-
I don't think we've not,
It's not as
have we
easy
not
to-
agreed on
to
pretty much
figure it out
everything?
when you-
We work it out,
Yeah,
Steve.
we
We
do.
always work it out. You're a
You
good
have your
person.
passion, I have my passion.
You have a, you,
I want, what kind of grass do I want, Miss?
Green.
Green grass.
Green grass.
absolutely.
Thank you. One more time. Green
Green
grass
grass, I agree.
and many trees.
I don't
All
know
right.
many, but I do hope we plant some that we take.
Handful of trees.
I want to do a lot of
Nice
trees.
trees. to-
All right, so with that being said,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to close this meeting. And all those in favor, I take the motion.
I second the motion.
Steve Crystal, aye. Yes.
Cindy Baxter, aye.
Meeting is adjourned.